So enigmatic and charismatic, gotta live static, gotta get at it, never pragmatic, cause we live tragic. I can't live average, to be alive's magic. Turn it up in the back cause I'm grabbing everything I want, get in my way and I'm stabbing. I'll be moving crowds till I'm 6 feet napping. They need another fix, hooked on like an addict. I got my eyes on the prize and it's changing lives. I wanna live till I die, make a difference, right? I wanna give those in need a reason to fight. I wanna live every day like it's my last night. I wanna change how we play the game, rearrange all the pieces till they say my name, push an agenda against doing what they say. I wanna stand up and start a revolution. I wanna 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 start a revolution. I'm on top now, while me kissing babies. Call me out, president, boss tool, hate me. I'ma trust my gut, you don't faze me. I'ma give my blood, don't save me. Damn, it's never enough, still chasing every single dream that I've had since I was 18. I wanna start a revolution. I wanna start a revolution. I wanna start a revolution. Start a revolution.
What is up, everybody? What a slow news day, but that's good because it gives us an opportunity to start addressing some of the big issues out there and not focus on the daily news cycle. I want to first say that somebody very close to me, and we're just going to say Ma. Ma is battling COVID right now in the ICU. Thoughts and prayers to you and your family. We love you guys, and we know you will get well soon. COVID, just so tired. I don't know about you, but I'm just so tired of COVID and everything surrounding it. Oh man, it is. I've had it. You know, I've battled COVID. I have my personal beliefs on the virus. I have never downplayed the authenticity of this virus. However, I do have my personal beliefs on why we are going through this and what it perpetrates and all that will come after the inception of COVID. So thoughts and prayers out to you, Ma. Get well soon. You know, keep your head up. You're strong, and we're praying for you. Again, such a slow news day, but one thing that really stuck out was we are about to get a new Supreme Court justice, and we all know that this justice will be a very liberal justice. What do we call him? 4 or 5? 4 or 5 had the opportunity to seat more than one, and they were conservative or leaning conservative justices. So it's only fair, you know, that's what keeps the court balanced, is having the correct number. They are trying to increase the number. They are trying to have an opportunity to pack the court themselves. A lot of major things go through the Supreme Court, and I know the average American really just knows the surface level on everything, truly. But I wanted to talk about division today, and I wanted to talk about people and their demeanor. And I don't know if you've noticed, but of course, people are very, very divided. And it's crazy that politics has become this issue that will tear a family apart. I am in my 40s, early 40s. When I was younger, no one really cared too much when it came to politics. We were busy being teenagers. We were busy being adolescents. We were busy not having formed a adult opinion. However, these days, my goodness, boy, has it changed. I have the privilege to have lived before the smartphone. Before there were cyberbullies and trolls and computer gangsters. And back in my day, when you had a disagreement or you said something that you shouldn't have said, you could expect to get an ass whooping. Back in my day, if you had an opinion, you got thumped a time or two. And, I feel like it made made the world a better place. Nowadays, jeez. Nowadays, we are looking at such a change in our culture. Division. Let's focus on division for a moment. You see, my personal belief when it comes to the government is that they all work hand in hand with one another. That behind closed doors, they are truly very close. They put on a show to create division. Because if we're divided, if we're angry with one another, if we don't see eye to eye and we never talk about certain aspects of the world, we can never come together. And it's a brilliant plan. It is simplistic in its delivery, but it is brilliant when you break it down to the nuts and bolts. If you are a conservative and I'm a liberal, which would never happen, but if you're a conservative and I'm a liberal, and we are arguing, having very heated discussions about social issues, about the economy, about one of my favorites, global warming, then we'll never agree to have a really good conversation about the things that truly matter. Because we will carry with us this persona that's been built. We will carry with us this anger. We will carry with us the hatred. It's a brilliant plan, and it's being executed with precision. They teach this generation to feel very entitled. They have taught this generation to want more. They have taught this generation that everything that is good is really bad, and everything that is bad is kind of good. I never thought I'd see a day where we were arguing about what somebody identifies as. You know, you guys are going to get to know a little bit about the angry American today, because my thoughts on that, I don't care what somebody identifies as. If you're a good person, if you're a solid individual, I don't care what you do outside of the relationship that you and I have created. If you're a guy and you want to go home and put on women's clothes, that's you. I don't care. If you're somebody that believes that they are a piece of furniture, I don't give a shit what you identify as long as you are a stand-up person and you do onto others as you would like to be done upon, I don't really care what you do. But now we have this whole generation that believes if somebody thinks opposite of them, then they are haters. They are completely 100% hating on that person and the whole community, when it's not truly the case. You know, some people have phobias. Some people aren't secure in their manhood or their masculinity. Some people don't know how to process emotion. Some people are so self-conscious that they lash out onto others. You know, some people just don't get it. They just don't get that everybody is an individual. And that's what makes everything so perfect, is that we are not the same. We don't believe the same things. We don't want the same things. We don't dream about or set our goals the same. We are not the same. And that's how this wonderful symphony of life works. But we've gotten away from that. We've gotten so far away from that it's hard to even fathom where we are today. Division. We are so divided. It's unbelievable how divided we are. It's unbelievable that we're willing to not continue a relationship with someone close to us because of belief. But that's by design. You need to understand that all of this is by design. So, to circle back to the government, that's why I don't put my faith in politicians. I'm going to tell you I have first-hand knowledge of this, as I went to a couple benefit dinners for some candidates locally that were running for governor. This is a few years ago. And I saw them, via a debate, go after each other. I saw them at their speaking engagements talk about one another in a vicious fashion. And then I have the privilege to play poker, backroom poker, by the way, with both of them later that night. wouldn't you know that they really are truly good friends? And that this whole thing, that's where I developed my belief system. This whole thing is meant to divide us, you and I. It is meant to keep you and I apart. At the end of the day, they're buds, they're pals, they're compadres, they're comrades, whatever you want to call them. But you and I carry this hatred, this false sense of belief to family functions, to dinners, to holidays, to special occasions. You will argue, you will bicker, you will fight. Are you vaccinated? Are you not? If you're not, you're part of the problem. If you are, you're part of the problem. Do you see? Do you understand? And it's that way in every facet, in every social issue. Let's take a real hot button issue. Black Lives Matter, critical race theory. What is being taught to your kids? I'm going to be straight up with you. I lived in the city. I went to school with all kinds of people. I never really put a lot of stock in race or color or the economic factor. I never put stock in that. You know, that's why we didn't have these issues that they have now. We were too busy enjoying life. We were too busy watching Boys in the Hood, going to concerts, playing at arcades. We were too busy being teenagers to give a shit about the things they do today. This generation has lost its way, and that's by design. Not too much down the road, the rest of the world will have America where they've always wanted them, depleted and weak. I was just telling the story the other day, so I'm going to share it with you. My son was an athlete growing up. He played church league basketball when he was an adolescent. Okay. The coach got ill, and they were about to break this team up because they had nobody to step up and coach this team. Now, this is where I started to see it for the first time, because I had to deal with the political ramifications of this story. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to coach. I'm going to coach basketball. I played in middle school and high school. I was a three sport athlete: baseball, football, basketball. And yes, football and basketball did, and so did baseball and football, kind of run at the same time. So depending on where we were in the season, that dictated what sport I was playing at the time. Anyway, I decided to coach these kids. I don't want this team broke up. They're friends. They played the prior season together. They wanted to be together, so I started to coach. Now, this team was extraordinarily bad. Really bad. I wouldn't say they were the worst in the league, but they were damn close. I'd go to practice. The first week was a disaster. I mean, it truly was. I'm trying to run layup drills and, just standard stuff, passing drills. And these kids, they just don't have it. But I noticed that they were willing to learn and give maximum effort. By the end of the season, this team played in the quote unquote championship game of the whole league. 4 churches. Okay? 6 teams at each church. 6. It's a big deal for these kids. Of course, my son, being the coach's son, I would say was the best player on the team. He had a friend, Raj, that was the second best. We'll just put it that way. And they were a very good 1-2 duo. We end up winning that championship game. These kids were excited. I felt this sense of pride in this team. I watched their growth. I watched them be able to dribble down the court now and run a very basic, defense or offensive play and really put it together. And I think the fundamentals is what made this team the best team because they understood a little bit of the game and what the position was that they were playing and who they were supposed to play on defense and where their zone was. I mean, it worked out. It was great. I had a great time. A top-notch, stellar bonding with my child. Hands down. Now comes the trophy dinner. Now, I just told you I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. We were our division's champs in football and baseball and basketball. During my 4 years of high school, we were a force to be reckoned with. And we took this very serious. So much so that I was also telling another story of being a freshman in high school taking testosterone, but that's for another day, you guys. We truly took this very serious. So I carry that enthusiasm, that sense of competitiveness with me into this coaching gig. Trophy dinner time. Now, I had sat through a few of these as a player, and the best team got the biggest trophy. This was bragging rights, people. This was bragging rights in school. You'd wear your jersey. You were the best team. So we get to the trophy dinner, and I'm looking for our table, and I notice that every trophy on the presentation table was the same size. So my thought is, they got them behind all this stuff. They got the bigger trophies, and we will have our moment. So I get all the parents together, I get all the kids together, and I give them, my best coach speech. And I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember verbatim what I said. But I said, hey, you guys did phenomenal. So much so that each and every one of you should feel like champions. Each and every one of you should feel like winners. Now, I don't want you to let it go to your head. We're very humble, but you guys did an amazing job. Now, They presented, you got to hear every aspect of the story. They presented in alphabetical order. And the kids pick the team name, and we were the Rattlers, the Rattlesnakes, the Rattlers. No, can't make it up. You know, kids paid their fee. We had uniforms made, the whole nine. Well, we're down pretty low. I think there were 2 teams below us. So as it gets to R, they present us as the number 1 team. But they don't call us champions. They announce the record and say that we had the best record of the season. Now I'm starting to get, I don't know, I think I'm getting perturbed at this point. I'm waiting for the C word. And she starts calling the kids up one by one, and I see the first kid get a trophy, and I think to myself, okay. They're going to present us a large trophy at the end for being the team with the best record. It has to be, right? No, they didn't. So after the presentation, and we were all about to eat the food that was provided, her name was Janie. I walked up to her and I said, Janie, can I talk to you for a minute? Why is there this format where the best team is not being presented as the best team? You just identified them as the team with the best record, but you didn't say champion, which, I promised these kids a championship. I promised these kids they would be champions. Why were they not identified? And why did they get the same trophy that the team with the worst record got? And she said, sir, we do not set one above another. We do not declare a champion. I said, then why the hell did you keep score? Because it is the competitive nature in us as humans to always strive to be the best or better than our competition. I said, I promised my kids a championship, and you're not even going to identify them as champions. I talked all season about the big trophy that they would receive, and that would set them apart from the rest. They would know, they would feel, they would understand the concept of being a champion. We don't do that here. Now, my son, like I said, played the year before, so I asked, well, what do you mean we do not do that here? You did it last year. This is our new format. These are participation trophies, and everyone gets the same trophy. Now, I'm hot at this point. I am hot under the collar. So I ask, what is the point? What is the point of keeping score if you're not going to identify these kids as champions? At this point, Pastor hears what's going on, and he comes over and he's like, hey, I don't understand what the big deal is. So I tried to explain to him, because he's a man of God, in my best man of God tone, my problem with this. I understand at this point that now with the backing of the pastor, I am not going to get anywhere. So I go back to the table and I say, listen, I call the parents in. I say, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think what is going on here is incorrect. You guys are the best team. You guys are champions. I want you to be identified as champions. So we're going to put our trophies back on the table, and we are all going to leave. There's an Applebee's a few miles away. We are going to meet there. We are going to have our own championship dinner, and I promise you, by this time next week, you will have your trophy. You will have your championship shirts. You will be identified as champions. All but one parent agreed. So those kids went up, and such a lesson on humility, because they had worked hard. All their friends were getting trophies. These guys lined up, I kid you not, single file, and walked up and put their trophies back on the presentation table. And we left. Now, I was getting gawked at, gossiped about. I could tell I was very unliked. We went to Applebee's, minus the one child whose mother did not agree. And we had our championship dinner. And I did what I said. Now, it was very hard to get these trophies made in such a short amount of time. This is way before the internet, people. Well, I shouldn't say the internet. It's way before the internet as it is today. And I get some shirts made. Luckily, I had a family member that was his business. And they wore those to church that following weekend, and they were asked to remove them. 100%. I had a meeting with Pastor and Janie, and I was asked to not be a part of the church any longer, which I did oblige. I didn't think it would be such a big deal. It ended up being a major deal. Each side of town had a east side, north side, south side, west side messenger. I appeared in the west side messenger. Got a lot of heat from it. I tell you this story because this is where I started to really pay attention to my surroundings. This is where I started to understand the fleecing of America. When I went to school, we used to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. My kids did not do that. I actually remember when it was taken out of school. I remember when Christmas was no longer used as a term in school. It was Happy Holidays. I remember when we started to remove what made America so great. So I don't blame this generation because this has been by design. You see it. You live it every day in one way, shape, or form. You run into somebody that rubs you the wrong way. You get caught up in a situation, or you get labeled something that makes you see that America's been fleeced. America is not the country it was 20 years ago. And the rest of the world knows it. There's the issue. There are places in this world where heinous things go down in the dark of night, where entire villages are wiped out at the blink of an eye, where everything someone owns is taken from them with no recourse. We were the beacon of hope for those people. What are we now? We are the laughing stock of the world, or the cause of great nervousness with the rest of the world. People watch what goes on here. They focus on it. I have the luxury of having met people from all over the world. I have listeners in Australia, Canada, Mexico, Europe. I have them all over the world. And the first thing, if any of you guys are listening, the first thing I ask you is, how does your country perceive the United States? I get a lot of lazy, fat, whiny, the laughing stock, in disarray, scary. No one ever says the beacon of hope for the rest of the world. No one ever says the strongest country out there. No one ever says superpower. Do you remember that? Superpower? There used to be two superpowers, people. Russia and the United States. The movie Rocky, where Sylvester Stallone fought Dolph Lundgren, the big Russian. That Russian killed Apollo Creed. There's no more of that. It doesn't exist. We're being taught to hate each other on every issue out there. And it has spilled over. And it has been exacerbated over the last 2 years with the pandemic and the George Floyd incident and Black Lives Matter and what happened on January 6th and so on and so forth, till we are at a point where you never know what is about to go down. People are angry. They are disgusting. They do not care about their fellow American. They just don't give a shit. And you know it's true. I know unequivocally that within the last 90 days you have dealt with this at least once. Division. It is meant to divide. It is meant to rip us apart, to destroy the foundation on what this great nation was built on. That each and every individual have the same opportunities as the next. Now, is it stained? Sure. Absolutely. We have slavery. We have the fleecing of the land from the Native Americans. There are so many incidents that have happened throughout history that, yes, it has a stain on it. But just like a young man learns from his mistakes, or a young woman learns from her mistakes, this country, which, keep in mind, was an experiment when it started, a country where The people are free to make their own decisions, to earn their own money, to teach their own way, to worship whatever the hell they wanted. It was an experiment to begin with. We have learned over the years from those stains. We'll call them scars because they're much more than stains. But we have learned. Now we sit here now we sit here as just a shell of what we once were. A shell. For someone who considers themselves a patriot, and I know it's a bad word now, I get it. It's sad. It's disheartening. It's rough. Seeing my son off to the military was very rough because I didn't know what he was going to meet. And I still don't. We sit on the cusp of a global conflict. You have nations out there that do not respect the United States. You have nations out there that are chomping at the bit, waiting to get their opportunity. It's a scary time. And it's about division, you see. It's by design. It's been taught for decades. I can look back and see some of the things that didn't happen in the generation before me. And I certainly can see a lot of things that aren't happening in the generation today. Do you guys remember when the kid sued his parents? Do you remember that? And it made a big story. It was a big deal. I got my butt whipped every day. Every day. Sometimes just because. I remember asking my father, what was that for? And he said, just because. And it didn't make sense to me then. It does now. I hadn't gotten in trouble in a while. He wanted to make sure I knew that there were repercussions for my actions. How far we've fallen. Now, I apologize because this is where I get very emotionally involved. I'm willing to stand up and fight for this country. I'm willing to allow my child to do the same. What do you think about this generation? Are they the same? Do they have the same gusto? Do they? Is it their fault? Is it their fault? And if it's not, then who's at fault? Because it's time to start holding people accountable. At the beginning of this show, I talked about Ma. I had a conversation with family, with my circle today in reference to Ma. And we both align 100% on the way we see this. We don't believe that this was an accident. We don't believe that this was an evolution. We believe this was on purpose. Someone should be held accountable for that. The same as what I'm talking about with the fleecing of America. If you don't see it yet, then you never will. If you don't understand that society is fundamentally different than it ever has been before, then you'll never get it. No matter how much you jump down the rabbit hole, because that's what they call it, it's a division tactic, yet again, to make it sound like you're crazy if you don't believe the surface level stuff. No matter how much you jump down that, you're never going to get it. You just know. You just fundamentally know that the world is different by design. And it's not about acceptance, and it's not about bringing the world together. No, no, no. Don't feed me that pudding, please. Been fed enough of the bullshit pudding for the last 3 years. Don't feed me that. We got big problems on the horizon. We got economic problems on the horizon. We got a potential global conflict on the horizon. I'm so anxious to see the midterm election and how it goes down, because that's going to say a lot. We might have big problems during that, because yet again, they've used that to divide us even more. You got people out there that honestly believe 100% that the wrong person is in the White House. They believe it to the core. They will fight you over that. That's what I'm saying. Division. You got to take control of this. Even if you have to listen to something you don't want to hear. You got to be the bigger person and try to walk somebody off the ledge. On either side of the ledge. They can be on either side of it. Because none of them are right. The only thing that is right, the only thing you can say 100% is that we are fundamentally flawed like we've never been before. There should be your agreement. How do we fix the flaws? It's not about the substance. It's about the flaws, the cracks in the foundation. We need to patch them, but we need to do a good job at it. One of the biggest issues, race. Is there racism? Of course there is. It's been taught to divide. The only way you change racism, it starts with the parents. They don't teach their kids to focus on the visible differences. You ever seen a black kid and a white kid playing? Little black kid, little white kid. You ever seen that? They're just having a good time. And you can question them because kids are brutally honest because they don't have a buffer. They haven't been fed that bullshit pudding. They don't see race. That is the last thing they see. The teaching is important. That's why they knew that they could do it by indoctrinating these kids to divide. They knew it. They spent years and years and years to figure it out. Again, this is where I get emotionally involved. And I don't know what to do because it's the teaching. I can't unteach what's been taught. Like, I don't know where to go from here unless we say it starts with the kids. But they knew that. That's why this younger generation is able to hate so much. That's why you see kids run up in schools and just shoot, because they don't give a shit. They've been taught that way. Columbine was the first. I don't believe I was in high school at the time, or I was just graduating. It never happened when I was a young man. It just didn't. Division. It's insane. So if you want to make a difference, if you truly want to make a difference, you'll do it by teaching your kids, your grandkids, not to focus on those differences. If you love this country the way you claim you do, then you will teach them that everybody should have the same opportunity, whether they're rich, poor, white, black, Asian, it doesn't matter. Everybody, woman, man, everybody should have the same opportunity, or it'll never change. And we will go deeper down this road. And I promise you, there's a point where this road ends and a new road begins. There's a point where we reach critical mass and it is all bad. You've seen it. You saw it. You saw it in Seattle. You saw it in Portland. You saw it in Minneapolis. You saw it at the Capitol. There's an end to the road. I spoke about the general the other night. His biggest fear doesn't come from abroad. His biggest fear is here at home. Division. Well, I guess we know what the podcast was about today. A lot of people think what I do, what I talk about, is meant to divide. It's not. It's meant to bring you together based on fact, based on reason. It's meant to give you talking points so that you collectively, no matter what you identify as, can break it down. And you both at the same time can have that aha moment, and it brings you closer. I love this country. It is the country of second chances. Lord knows I've needed mine. Probably on my 5th chance by now. I love this country. I love what it was built on, the premise in which it was built on. It's being taken away. It is. And it ain't coming from one direction, one side of the aisle. No. It's coming from all angles. And if you don't wake up and smell that coffee, or as my guy Dwayne Johnson said, if you don't wake up and smell what The Rock is cooking, yeah. Oh, man, oh, man. I know you guys see the donate button down there. Nobody, zero, has donated up to this point. We are trying to get a studio. We are trying to get a little more mainstream, reach some more people. You don't have to donate. It would be a great thing if you did. If you don't, if you have a skill that will help us in our journey, we ask that you speak up. If you're a graphic artist, if you build websites, if you do any of this computer-related stuff and you can help, we ask that you do so. I don't mind meeting you. I don't mind you coming to the studio. I don't mind any of that. Like, this is for the people, by the people. But I hope that I inspire you, at the very least, to make change. And if you have some spare change and you can donate, that would be amazing. I know it's something I don't like to do. I don't like to ask. You know, I got vultures from the Discord I used to run. They know I've lost my company. They know where I sit financially, and yet they are still like, hey, we want a refund. Oh, that's another story for another day. Sometimes the good you do is not received very well. And there's an old saying that no good deed goes unpunished, and I can tell you unequivocally that is true. But if it's your path, it's your path, and you better walk the shit out of your path. Trying to get a guest on here. I have a couple guys in mind. Zach Rector, he is a crypto guy, a friend of mine from TikTok. Thinking about having him on to talk about the economy. And I also have a gentleman up in Cleveland. His name is Brian. He and I have a lot of things in common. And he is a very successful entrepreneur, and I'd like him to also be on here. Listen, the financial side of this is very important, guys. There is a new system coming. I can't stress it enough. I will break it down in a future podcast. I'm telling you, it is that important. But until next time, which will probably be tomorrow, I am the Angry American. Stay angry, America.
So enigmatic and charismatic, gotta live static, gotta get at it, never pragmatic, cause we live tragic. I can't live average, to be alive's magic. Turn it up in the back cause I'm grabbing everything I want, get in my way and I'm stabbing. I'll be moving crowds till I'm 6 feet napping. They need another fix, hooked on like an addict. I got my eyes on the prize and it's changing lives. I wanna live till I die, make a difference, right? I wanna give those in need a reason to fight. I wanna live every day like it's my last night. I wanna change how we play the game, rearrange all the pieces till they say my name, push an agenda against doing what they say. I wanna stand up and start a revolution.